Welcome back to the Mini Lab, folks. So today we're going to have a look at this thing. Now, this came up in a conversation. I'll show you what this is in a minute, but this came up in a conversation with me and a friend of mine. He wanted something that does this function, but he didn't want to have to go to using anything complicated. He looked on the web and couldn't find what he wanted. So I did a closer look on the web. I won't take credit for this design. I just did some little modifications to it. But, well, let's have a look and see exactly what it is. Okay, here we got the circuit for this little device here. It looks familiar, I'm sure, to you as some sort of a multi-vibrator. In fact, it is. It's a play on the bistable multi-vibrator. So it's a two-state device. Bistable multi-vibrator usually has two switches on it, one for setting it and one for resetting it. This, we're going to take advantage of this little capacitor over here to do some of the heavy lifting for us, and we're going to have a single push button switch. So basically this is a toggle on, toggle off electronic switch. It just provides a little output here, which you can use then with a further transistor or something like that to turn on a big MOSFET or turn on a relay or something of that effect to turn on a device. There's several different things that need to be taken into consideration. First of all, when power is applied to it, it must come up in the off position. So this point here must be low once the thing is powered on. Another thing, it must not oscillate. Now, I had seen Dave Jones do one of these on his EV blog some years ago, but the problem was if you held the push button down, it would oscillate back and forth. And it was more complicated than this. I think he had an NPN, a PNP, and a MOSFET or something like that. But I found this design in several places on the internet. It was slightly different than this. For one thing, most of them don't have this resistor here and don't have this capacitor here. And I'll explain why I'm using those. So why is this capacitor here? Well, that capacitor there is to ensure that this transistor is off when you power it up. But this transistor has a chance to turn on and make the output low. So that's the reason I have that capacitor there. This resistor here, this is a 0.1 UF capacitor, so it's got a fairly high internal resistance. So if you're going to power this thing off of 5 volts or 3.3 volts or something like that, you don't need this resistor here. This capacitor is not going to be able to dump too much current into this, even for the short pulse that it does, because there's going to be, maybe 10 to 15 ohms equivalent series resistance to this. So it's going to release that energy fairly slow. However, if you run this up, you need to do something at 12 volts or 15 volts or 18 or 20, and yes, this will work up to 20 volts, no problem at all. Then you really need this resistor here. Let's look and see how this works. So if you turn on the power, what will happen is this capacitor here will ensure that this transistor stays off. So if this transistor here is off, then this raises up and makes sure that this transistor is turned on. And that'll go to a steady state. So if this transistor starts off, and this one goes to on, it'll just remain that way until something happens. Well, also what's happening is down through this resistor here and through this resistor, this capacitor starts to charge up. Then if you press this button here, what happens is this capacitor dumps its voltage down through the base of this and throughout the emitter, and that turns this on. When this turns on, it drags the base of this one low, which turns this transistor off. And then the output here will go high. And then we'll have another stable situation, because this being the off position here, you'll get the 5 volts or whatever it is, but your VCC will come down through here and maintain enough current going into the base here to ensure that it's on. Because it's on, this point here will be low, be dragged down to almost ground. So that'll discharge this capacitor through this 68K resistor here. And what happens if you press the button again? Well, you press the button again because this is now discharged. It'll turn this transistor off. And then we're back to the startup situation. So let's go back over to the little bench there and we'll have a look at that. Here are the two transistors. Let me get a pointy thing. Here are the two transistors in the actual circuit to do the work here. Oops, this is very unreliable because of the breadboard. But this transistor and this transistor are doing the work. This other transistor over here is only to drive this LED, so just ignore that. And so yeah, we press the button. So you can see as we press the button here, and if we don't touch any of the wires, it'll work, and it works reliably. Some of the important things, like right now I'm running it at 5.69 volts here. So let's get a meter out here. I want to show you that it does have a pretty good voltage range. So we get this meter here, Okay, you see that? I bet I'll have to turn on the backlight, but let's put up the volts DC. Turn on the backlight. We got that. It complaining that I have it set up for current, and we will look at the current through this thing in a moment too. But let's get a reading on the voltage here. So 4.666 volts, and it's working. So let's bring it down here. Let's bring it down to 1.787 volts here, and it's working fine. And like I say, you can bring it up to whatever you want, basically. This power supply will only go up to 20 volts. Now this is going to get awfully bright, so I'm going to bring it down over here. But as you can see, at 19.37 volts, bring it right up to 20. There we go. That's complaining a little bit there. I have an overvoltage indicator on that power supply. All right, so it works way up there. It works anywhere you want. But at a reasonable level here, let's put it again back down to about 5 volts here. And let's set this up to measure the current. So let's take this off here for now. Okay, so we've got 0.1 milliamps, so it's 100 microamps. And of course, when the LED goes on, it's going to draw 3 milliamps there. But so it draws about 100 microamps here. I hate this defaulting to AC all the time. It just bugs me. So 92.7 microamps the thing draws when it's in idle mode. So could you use this on battery equipment? Well, sure. You know, that would give you about, I think, just working off the top of my head, maybe about, for good quality AA batteries, it'd give you about 2.5 years of life, just turned off. So it depends on how heavy your actual load is. Like if your actual load and normal usage would drain your batteries in a year, then this would be fine. But if it's something that you put away for, 5-6 years at a time, then take it out and use very little, then 100 microamps is not going to be ideal. But for C cells or D cells or something like that, or indeed if it's powered off the mains, this 92.7 microamps here is just fine and dandy. Okay, well that's it. So now we have a solution for my friend here that doesn't involve microcontrollers. He doesn't want to get involved in microcontrollers, but he did want a little push on, push off electronic switch for a little project that he's working on. And I think this is just about the simplest circuit you can find. 2 transistors, a small number of resistors, and a couple of capacitors, and you've got yourself a push on, push off toggle switch. All right, folks, I hope you got something out of this. I will leave this link in the description to the schematic if you want it. And I'm actually going to have a PC board made up of this, so I'll have them around for experiments here in the lab. All right, folks, we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.